I pray the Lord my soul to take, that we won't lose faith and we won't lose faith. All we got is us, no one can take that away. So don't lose faith, it's gonna be okay. I pray the Lord my soul to take.
Hey everybody, Happy New Year. Welcome back to another episode of Just Listen to Yourself. This is the podcast where we take hot topics, hot button ideas, and we discuss the talking points on those ideas, and we draw those talking points all the way out to their logical conclusion. And this is today, as I record this, you'll be getting this later, but as I record it, it's January 6th. So I don't know what you did today when you woke up, if you were stressing about the state of the world and how we came so close to an insurrection and losing our democracy, and you've just been walking around in a fearful state all day. I don't know if you have. I've pretty much been going about my day. In fact, my husband texted me earlier. He was like, oh yeah, it's January 6th. I think he was probably looking at, probably CNN was on at work or something, because, they are acting in progressive media. They are treating this day the way they should have treated and should be treating the New Orleans terror attack and the Christmas market terror attack last year or the year before in Minnesota, and everything, and literally basically every tragedy that has been, Lake and Riley, everything that has been happening. If they would only apply this same kind of energy to real problems, imagine what America could do. Like, what could America do if we were actually fully informed about what was going on around us? It's crazy. It's just such drama queen nonsense, It really is. You want to know why Americans don't care about January 6th? Because it wasn't nothing. And we figured it out almost right away. We saw some people protesting. I don't know that anyone described it as a riot. We saw people getting frisky up at front. We have all those images. You'll notice they use the same images over and over again. It's the only ones they have. They don't have images of, quote, violence from the event. They have those first few frames of people climbing up over the fences and the barricades. Other than that, once January 6th was over, once that day was over, Americans went back to it, right? Like, they elected Joe Biden, Black Lives Matter, the country was on fire anyway. People had other things to worry about. They really weren't thinking about that. They went about their business, and the people who got arrested for January 6th disappeared. And if it wasn't for the conservative side of media, we would never know what has happened to those people or what is currently happening to those people. So there's no one out there to tell people, like, to give a face to the problem. If you want to know how important that is, look at Luigi Mangione, that killer, the CEO killer. I shouldn't use his name. The CEO killer, and all the progressive lunatics are, going nuts over him. And it matters. It's very influential to see this guy out and walking around, and it matters for the case. It matters for what it does for the public, right? It matters for keeping his image and his, quote, message or whatever he has at the forefront in our minds, making it relevant, keeping it relevant. And we didn't get that because they rushed off all those supposed insurrectionists and criminals. They rushed them away and tucked them away. We don't get to hear from them. We don't know what's going on. We don't know how bad they are. You and I know they didn't, excuse me, bump my mic. You and I, we already know that most of these people are probably just decent, regular people. But for the left, you would think that they would want everyone to know how terrible these people were. They'd be doing profiles on these people. They would be doing background investigations. We would know all their social media. We would know everything they posted. They don't want us to know about these people, because if regular Americans know about these people, they're going to go, what are you doing? This is crazy. So no, Americans don't care about January 6th because it wasn't anything. It wasn't an insurrection. It wasn't even that big of a deal. And now, of course, we have all this information coming out that really this was a Fed job. This was an inside job from start to finish. And we know that the ultimate goal, we know this now, the ultimate goal was to be able to, invoke the 25th. Is that right? The 25th Amendment, if Trump were to win. they still may do that. We haven't reached inauguration day, but we did certify the results today. So that's good. But we know, that there was a lot of manufactured anger going on that day. But outside of that fact that still many Americans don't know, I think it's a vibe. We've been using this word a lot. I do believe this is a word for 2025. It's a vibe. I like it because it encompasses so much. But Americans have a vibe about fakery. Did you guys see the Meghan Markle Netflix? I'm going to get to our topic today, I promise. Did you guys see the Meghan Markle Netflix show, trailer that came out for her new show, With Love, Meghan? It's a cooking and lifestyle show. It looks fine enough, right? She's a very beautiful woman, classy. Sometimes we like seeing beautiful people do beautiful things. I get it, but it just flopped. It just sank like a stone the second it was dropped. It's tone deaf. There was a time when maybe people did want to watch beautiful rich people making things in their kitchens, but now is not that time. We roundly and soundly rejected all that in November. Not to mention the fact that she is roundly and soundly hated. They are as a couple. And this is a point, and I wrote about this on my Substack. You can go read it, but this is a point. It's all fake from beginning to end, and you can sense that from the trailer. It's not that people wouldn't be interested in some American show about an American rich lady making nice things. We all love Martha Stewart. That's not it. It could work in some way, but everything's fake, and you can sense it even from watching the trailer. This is what I mean. The fakery meter of Americans is finely tuned. It really is. I think we saw that this election cycle. It's finely tuned. So even if you don't know that the Sussexes, that there's a controversy as to whether or not the Sussexes really do live in Montecito, whether or not you know that she's not actually using her kitchen. She acts like it's her kitchen. She acts like she's just hosting her friends at home, but that's not her kitchen, and that's not her garden she's picking vegetables from. They rented a mansion down the street from them. So you're not getting a peek into her life or who she is or how she views things. It's all fake from beginning to end, just like she is. And if you could, good on Netflix. They left the comments open on YouTube. And if you want to go look, have at it. It's fun. I highlighted just a few over on my article at Substack. But again, it just speaks to the fact that Americans know fakery when they see it, or at least they're becoming finally attuned to it, and we're sick of it. We're really sick of it. And so that's why Democrats, people aren't freaking out the way you want them to about January 6th. I mean, they even had a moment of silence in the rotunda today in the Capitol. It was like another taking a knee moment with the kente cloths. It was like Democrats just hanging their heads. It was a moment of silence for the made up insurrection, for the FBI insurrection. I mean, they're just being such drama queens about it. But the reason why, progressives, is because we can sense that it's all made up. It's fake. So we don't care about it. And you haven't given us anything to care about, right? Because you can't. So you haven't given us the people. You haven't given us the characters in this story. It's too vague for America, Democrats. It's too vague. You guys need better writers. All right. Well, we're going to get to our main topic today. Actually, what I'll do is, since I wanted to talk about those things because I didn't feel like they made a whole show, but they've been on my mind. But today's topic is about something that happened this week. You may or may not know this person. This person is Joy Taylor. She does the NFL Sunday show on Fox Sports. She is the panel partner or to Emmanuel Akko. I don't know any of the people in this story. It's only the topic that I'm interested in. Anyway, if you watch Fox Sports, you probably already know who these people are. But she's been caught up in a lawsuit. And it turns out that Joy has slept her way to the top and maybe done a little bit worse. So she's been named in a lawsuit. It's very, very juicy, but it brings up the larger question about what the ethics are for women for sleeping your way to the top. So I want to break it down. All right, we are back, and I promised that I would get into this topic. So, Darvio texts me yesterday, and he texts me this thread on Twitter. He's like, "Oh, can you believe this? This is so ratchet." I don't know who any of these people are. I don't watch football. I don't watch sports. Sometimes I will sit in the room while my husband watches football, but I'm always doing something else. So I had no frame of reference, but if Darvio's sending it, it's juicy. So I dug right in. Let me share this with you. By the way, we're launching video. So I know I've complained about this in the past, and that I haven't really, I don't know who I'm complaining to. It's only my fault, but I haven't really focused on video. And these days, if you're not on video, you're basically invisible. I'm a one woman show right now. I'm hoping that's going to change really soon. We're on the come up here in 2025. So, but in the meantime, while I wait for that help to arrive, I really do need to be getting video out there. I know this, the software is available. It's pretty easy. So, what you see on my YouTube and Rumble channels right now might be rough looking. Sorry, doing the best I can. I'm 50, so I'm really not going to put myself out too much over it, but I want to be on video because I want people to be able to find these discussions wherever is convenient for you. So that's exciting. So if you can go find my YouTube page, just look me up and just look my name up on YouTube. Same with Rumble. I'll come up. I don't do a lot of Rumble. I'd like to be using Rumble more for obvious reasons. So hopefully we'll get into that. So, but let me share this screen on video here. But he sent me this text and he included this X link. When I saw who this was about, it's about Joy Taylor. I was like, oh yeah, I know her because she's hot. And she's just somebody that I don't pay attention to her, but I notice her because she's a fox. Turns out that Joy Taylor has been actively and unapologetically sleeping her way to the top. She was named in a lawsuit by a former colleague. This former colleague says that she was denied a promotion at Fox Sports by Skip Bayless because she wouldn't sleep with him. And she said that that environment was created by Joy Taylor. So let's read a little bit about what this indictment says here. And we're gonna focus on the ethics or the topic of women sleeping their way to the top. I only give you this case because it's what sparked it. The really egregious thing is at the end of this piece of the indictment that's going to blow your mind and a reason why this woman should never work again. It's not necessarily has to do with this topic. You need to hear it anyway. So there were a number of incidences of her sleeping with men, including a guy named Mr. Dixon at Fox Sports to get promoted. So here's another example. Miss Taylor, again, uses her sexuality to get on a show. Again, this is from the affidavit. In approximately February 2020, Miss Taylor asked Miss Faraji, her friend, to meet her for lunch in Beverly Hills. When Miss Faraji arrived, she found Miss Taylor with a man, Emmanuel Ako. Ako? I know none of these people. I know he's famous. I'm sorry. I'm a dork. Miss Faraji did not know Mr. Ako, but could tell that the two were romantically involved. Is he married? I think he is. A few months after meeting Mr. Ako at the lunch, Miss Faraji noticed him in the hallway while at work. Miss Faraji later asked Miss Taylor if Mr. Ako also worked at Fox. Miss Taylor confirmed and explained that she wanted Mr. Ako to eventually recommend her on the show Speak for Yourself. Miss Faraji became alarmed and warned Miss Taylor that she should probably not sleep with Mr. Dixon and Ako at the same time, as Mr. Dixon is a very powerful man, that they may become very angry. Miss Taylor told her not to worry about it. She explained, this is where it's at. She explained that she was also now powerful. And once Mr. Dixon was no longer useful to her, she would follow through on her plan to tell the company that he forced himself on her. She would not allow herself to be forced out by Mr. Dixon like the other women talent. There's a lot there. There's another one further down that I wanted to read too. Someone posted another piece from it. This one's good too. In approximately 2016, word spread amongst Fox employees about a new show that was going to be a big deal, as it would star Mr. Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. It was known that Fox was looking for a woman with significant TV experience to also star. Therefore, it came as a surprise when Fox announced Miss Taylor, who was a bartender and a radio host in Miami with very little TV experience, would be the moderator of the new show, a sports debate program, Skip and Shannon Undisputed. Mr. Bayless later disclosed to Miss Faraji that he did not want Miss Taylor on the show. But Mr. Dixon was adamant, I bet he was, that Miss Taylor should star. At first, Mr. Dixon arranged a dinner between Mr. Bayless and Miss Taylor, where she arrived in provocative clothing and acted in a provocative manner. When that did not change Mr. Bayless's opinion of Miss Taylor, Mr. Dixon asked him to approve of her as a favor to him. Reluctantly, Bayless agreed to do it as a favor to his friend. Okay. Wow. All right. So this circumstance is a little bit outside of what we wanted to talk about, but boy, oh boy, that's some ratchet. That's some ratchet stuff right there. I was having a good time with the story. I was tickled by it until it got to the part where she said, I'm going to accuse this guy of raping me. Now, I want to say this. There's no good people in this story. Okay. Men, Mr. Dixon is married. I think Echo is he? See? Siri, is Emmanuel Echo married? Let's see. No, he's not. Okay. He's not married. He's just dumb. You should go get married, sir. You clearly need a good woman in your life who's help you make good decisions. Okay, but Mr. Dixon is married. So anyways, I don't feel too badly for what may have been coming his way. Gentlemen, you make your bed, you sleep with whoever in it, you gotta lie in the dirty sheets. So another reason why you should act honorably at work, men. But that really was vile. And I'm a woman, and we're all thinking adults, so we know that the trope of a woman sleeping her way to the top is tale as old as time. When I was researching, I use that term loosely, when I was researching for this story, I wanted to see if I could find stories from women who made an effort to sleep their way to the top and regretted it. And I could not find any. Now, I didn't dig through the 40,000 search results, but I did use 3 different search browsers. And every article was about the misogyny of saying that and how misogynistic it was to think that. And fair enough. And we're going to talk about that. Fair enough. Because I do think there's ups and downs to this conversation. Some things are not fair to women in this conversation. So fair enough. But it just seemed like there was this theme of this is only a good thing. This is only a good thing. Women are getting maligned because of it, but women can do what they want and it's not a real thing. Women have relationships at work just like men, but women are the ones getting blamed. But it is a real thing. When I'm reading it, I'm thinking, no, of course it's a real thing because here's 40,000 articles on why it's not a real thing. So of course it's a real thing. And I'm a woman. So I know, and we have talked at length on this show about the tools of womanhood, right? And how women have been trained out of those things and it's cost us. And femininity and using the feminine form, I believe, is a tool. Absolutely, 100%. So, but what we're talking about is the ethics of sleeping your way to the top. And I think we do need to decide, and maybe this is a talking point to start at. We need to decide, is there a difference between sleeping your way to the top and just being in a relationship? Because we're all familiar with Kamala's past by now. We classify her as sleeping her way to the top because she got into a relationship with the mayor of San Francisco, then mayor of San Francisco, Willie Brown, one of the most famous politicians in America at that time, and perhaps even still to this day. And he really launched her career. But they were in a relationship. It might not have been a good one. She was his mistress, but it was a relationship. It wasn't like they were having casual sex. I don't know what their arrangements were, but it was a relationship. Do we classify a woman having a relationship with a man at work as sleeping her way to the top? I don't know the answer to that question. I started thinking about it. And when I started thinking about it, I thought it was easy. Like, yeah. But then when I really started digging in and I started just reading these things on the internet, I thought, no, it's a little bit more complicated than that, isn't it? Because men and women are more complicated. I'll say this. Let's start with women like Joy Taylor. Let's start there. There is a woman who explicitly and blatantly uses sex to get what she wants. We might call those women sugar babies. We might call them hoes. We might call those loose women. We might call them prostitutes. We might call them actresses. But there are women who know what they're doing. They know exactly what they want to do with their bodies. They know exactly where they want to go. I got to give it to Joy Taylor. When I was reading her history, the story of where she came from, which was nowhere, you could see the wheels turning in her head. You could see her deciding. I'm sure she saw some other woman do that in Miami and thought, I look good, I'm young, and I have something men want, and I want to be independent. I don't want to be holding someone else's bag. I want my own bag. So she took stock of what she had to offer. Now, ladies, I do think that if you take stock of what you have to offer as a way to get ahead in your chosen career or in life, you're making plans, you're making moves, I get that, and you decide that the best you have to offer is your body, get out, you're losing. Like you've already lost the game. Because unfortunately our bodies degrade. That is just the nature of the human journey. You know what happens to women in the industry when they get of a certain age and they're trying desperately to hold on to youth? It's embarrassing. It will come back to bite you in the ass. Morally, it will bite you in the ass, Joy Taylor. Morally, it will. It always catches up to you. My goodness, what's done in the dark comes to light. There are no secrets. And I was thinking about what men use for as a tool to get ahead, right? Because men use what they have personality wise. And we don't have to look very far to see examples like in Hollywood, Harvey Weinstein, where there are men who use their power, they abuse their power, they abuse their authority, they abuse their money. That's what men have: power, authority, and earning potential. And so men do use that. But women aren't men, and we have talked at length on this show about how women and men have different tools and use those tools differently. And that's why we're complementary partners. So what tools do women have? We aren't powerful, right? This is a man's world. There's a few powerful women, but women aren't powerful. Not in the traditional aggressive sense of the word. So we don't have that type of aggression going for us. We don't have that masculine energy that makes people move out of the way for us, or we don't have that. We don't necessarily have the career trajectories or the wealth and status that many men just seem to step into. But we do have this feminine form. We do have the feminine figure. And that is powerful. And women who understand that can wield that power for good or evil. And Joy Taylor chose to wield it for evil. She knew what she had. That's the thing. A lot of y'all ladies out there, you don't even know what you have. She used what she had. And unfortunately, all she has is that body. It's a good looking body right now. But it wasn't enough, right? It's not enough to keep her from being named. She's toast. She's never working in the business again. She's not at this level, right? She's never going to launch from Fox Sports into something bigger. Because now she's just ruined. Everybody knows she's a hoe. Everybody know it, but this is what women do. Darvio said, I'm sorry. I know this is all over the place because I don't have notes for this because I didn't know how to make notes for the show. So it's a free flowing episode. Bear with me. Darvio said, I was looking at video of Emmanuel Aiko and he's been deleting a lot because he spent a lot of time defending her and now she's, a potential rape accuser. So he's been deleting a lot. And clearly, if you go through his timeline, you can tell he really likes this girl. But Darvio said he was acting like he loved her or something. And I said, you know what, Darvio? We talk a lot about how men just want sex, but we never talk about how badly men want love. And women use that just as much as we use sex. The desire to be loved for men is deep. And it's real. And it's just as powerful as the desire for sexual satisfaction. So a lot of women, they're selling sex and love hand in hand. They're selling it both. So it wouldn't surprise me if he felt that they were in a relationship and that they were in love. And I bet even dumb old Mr. Dixon thought it too. Because what we got, ladies, between these ears, and between these thighs, men go to war over it. It's powerful. It's powerful. We've talked about it at length on the show. Anyway, so if a woman chooses to use that type of power selfishly, then yeah, she can do a lot of damage. She can do a lot of damage to a man, but she can get herself far. And in a way, I don't begrudge a woman for using that. I just think it's a bad idea because it will bite you in the butt eventually. I mean, the way that, look at Harvey Weinstein. Eventually, someone took him down. Eventually, everyone has to pay the piper. Eventually, everyone must face judgment in this realm or the next. Thankfully, we got to see Harvey Weinstein face judgment, but he was a guy who he had good things about it, right? That guy knew how to run a business. The guy knew how to run a studio. The guy knew how to wheel and deal and cut deals. He knew how to bring in hit movies. I mean, there's a reason why he was so successful. Harvey Weinstein made a lot of really good movies, and they got made because he advocated for them. He had an eye. He got it. So he did have talent. He did have tools to use, but he abused the tools and the talent. And women, we can do that too. I do think your sexuality, I do think sexuality is a tool. Maybe a better way to put it is femininity is a tool. And I believe women who learn how to harness their femininity, I'm not talking about being a glam bot. We don't all have to be Kim Kardashian or whatever, or whoever your most beautiful person is. I'm not saying that under all the makeup and the fake hair. I'm in my fake hair era though. No apologies. I've been buying a lot of hair. But it doesn't have to be that, but the idea of just like operating, to use the TikTok therapy phrase, like operating out of your femininity. Somebody asked me once, but this is a very common question. Why does it just seems this way, but why does it seem like conservative women, at least the ones in the punditry sphere, why does it seem like conservative women are so much more attractive than liberal or progressive women? Or am I being a jerk? And I said, no, I believe you're right, but it's not because more beautiful people are attracted to one ideology over the other. That's not it. It's because the one of the principles of conservatism is individualism and understanding your identity, right? As an American, as a faith, a Christian or a person of faith. And so we believe very strongly that we're created for very precise roles men and women are. And so women, conservative women, are not afraid to lean into their femininity. It's a part of their ideology in a way. That this is my creative being. So not all of us wear makeup, not all of us wear heels, but all of us are operating out of our feminine energy because that's what we've been gifted. And liberal women and have an idea, and we see this coming out of Hollywood all the time, that to be successful means to be more like a man. So everything they offer us is to make us more like men. Cut your hair short, wear your power suits, be stern, be nasty, be aggressive, be a sexual predator, be over sexual, right? Treat sex the way men do. Or what Michelle Williams, the actress Michelle Williams, won an Oscar and went on stage and accepted the Oscar by saying, "I'm so glad I had an abortion all those years ago, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have this career. I got pregnant. If I kept the baby, I wouldn't have been able to have this career. I'm so glad that I killed my baby, that I sacrificed my baby for money." She didn't say that, but that's basically what she said. And what I heard her saying, besides a very obvious point of child sacrifice, is that how should I put this? She just admitted to the world that what she did was conform her body to the standards of a man in order to be successful, right? Because men don't have babies. Men don't have to worry about getting pregnant. So that's what Hollywood tells you have to do. Women, don't get pregnant. It's inconvenient. Men's bodies don't have to do this. See, all they do is sell us men stuff and then try to call it femininity. Try to tell us that's feminist. It's fakery and lies and mimicry, trying to mimic something they know nothing about. That's why that Kamala Harris ad for the real men vote for Harris was so ridiculous, because it was made by people who don't know real men. They have a parody. They have an idea of what a real man is in their head, and that's what they put on screen. And it showed. I think that there are tools that women use, and they can be used well if you understand who you are and how to use it and what the gifting is. Progressives don't understand, so they mess it up all the time. They mess up all the time. The most powerful women I know, the most successful and aggressive career-wise women I know are married women. And they came, and I suppose I would include myself in that. Not that I'm highly successful, but this next part, their success came after marriage. A lot of times, not all the time, of course, but many times after marriage. There is something very powerful to be released, to be your full feminine self, to be to safely express your sexuality within the marriage covenant. You know you're protected to do that, right? So when I was single, I never wore low cut anything when I was single. I was very modest. As a married woman of 50, been through some years, yeah, I want to show the puppies off. My husband makes me feel safe to do that. Not everybody agrees with that, by the way. Some people think that a woman should be covered up in the presence of her husband, so that other husbands don't look, but we're not like that. But all that to say that there's something freeing about the protection of marriage. So I do believe that when there are women who take that version of femininity, right, that strength, that power, and then they take that and they push that into their career. And when men see that woman walking down the hall or in leading the board meeting, they're attracted to it. They listen to her more. Men don't like nagging women, and they don't like bossy women. So the girl boss is I think, an ineffective brand. Men like a woman who does look like she's in charge, but also gives off a feminine energy. They are attracted to it, and they will listen to you. They are way more likely to listen to you if you're looking good. I don't make the rules. I would make them differently if I did, because I would be a lot more successful if we didn't have to depend on looks. But I'm not a Barbie, or not that you have to be a Barbie. That's insulting to women who have done this. I guess I haven't enjoyed the work, the maintenance to be TV ready all the time. I don't enjoy that part of the gig. But I recognize that looking good opens more doors. So I think women like Joy Taylor, not like Joy Taylor, because what she was about to do to that man is vile. Like I said, they all deserve each other, but women like that who choose to blatantly use their sexuality and be cruel about it. They're using a tool, and I think it's a legitimate tool. The way that lying is a legitimate tool in business. It's not a tool that will ultimately be good for your spirit or your reputation, but it is used. And you always have to choose, no matter what business you go into, no matter what, who are you going to be? Are you going to be the person who chooses the easier way to the top? Or are you going to be the person who holds on to your principles and your values and holds them as more priceless and precious than any promotion or pay raise? People have to choose. Most of us will come up against that decision at some point. I have come up several times in my career as a conservative commentator and had to decide, am I taking the money or the fame? Fame comes first in this business usually. Am I taking the fame or am I taking my integrity? Well, I think we all knew which one I choose. Anyways, integrity doesn't pay mortgages. I wish it did. All right. What time is it? Let's go to another break. And when we come back, I want to talk about what it means to have a relationship with someone in the workplace. And is that different for women than sleeping your way to the top? Okay, we're back, and we've been talking about the ethics of a woman sleeping her way to the top. And I have said I do think that it's a tool. I don't think it's a really clever one, but it is something that women use, and it's effective. As we know, it's effective. Again, just to harken back to what I was saying in the last segment, I went online to look up articles about any woman who regrets sleeping her way to the top. And every article I found was about how it's wrong to accuse women of sleeping their way to the top. And so let's move on. Let's move on here. I want to talk about, is there a difference between sleeping your way to the top and being in a relationship? This is where I do think misogyny comes in. This is where I do think some women are judged unfairly on this topic. Let's go back to the Kamala Harris situation. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this Washington Post article that I found, and it was the same thing. It was an article, and funny enough, it's from 2019. It's actually about Kamala when she was running, and all those accusations came up again. And it's a silly article, but it really had some interesting, I thought it had some interesting section in it. Let me read it to you, and then I'll break it down. She says, we talk about men abusing power. We talk about women not even deserving power. The distinction matters because the conversation isn't really about sex. It's about legitimacy. It's about who we think has earned the right to be successful and what criteria will invent and who will apply it to. I agree with this author. It is about who we think has earned the right to be successful and what criteria we invent for that person. We do that, right? We decide, well, it's okay. Look, that person got there through 4 PhDs and, the 4 internships, and that's the criteria we use for success, or that's the criteria we use for who deserves this chance. But somebody else might be using the criteria of, like Mr. Dixon, like Skip Bayless was. He ended up, he wasn't a good guy saying no to Joy Taylor. He just had someone else in mind. And, shoot, this happens all the time these days, man. That train of thought just went right out my mind. But we're talking about relationships. So back on track. We're talking about relationships. And Skip Bayless is not a good guy, right? He knew what he was selling. He knew what the cost of admission was, and clearly women like Joy Taylor know too. But what happens? What about when you, well, no, let me get back to this. See? Foggy. Menopause is not fun. Let me get back there. Maybe we should stop accusing women of sleeping their way to the top, which is literally every article I looked up. Wrote Erin Gloria Ryan in the Daily Beast in 2017. Maybe because men have been the ones sleeping women to the middle and the bottom. And I thought that was profound. Like women sleep their way to the top. I've established this, I believe, this podcast. So that's a thing. Gathering my thoughts here. That's a thing. But when I say women that you need to be careful, all right, pulling my thoughts together. When I say women that you need to be careful, this can be a successful strategy, or women wouldn't use it. Joy Taylor clearly went from being a bartender to hosting a popular sports show in prime time. Like, that's huge. So it does work. But this is what I'm saying. You need to weigh the cost. There's always a cost. You will always have to pay. You will always have to pay. The devil desires a price. He exacts a price. There's no free lunch. So eventually you're going to pay. And guess what? This is a man's world. And Skip Bayless is more powerful than you. And so was that lower level executive, Mr. Dixon, by the way, Joy. What a foolish and prideful and just delusional notion that she's just, well, I'll just use him until I get what I want out of him, and then I'll accuse him of rape. Honey, you don't even know what leagues you're playing with. You think you're powerful because you've been sleeping with some powerful men? You've been giving them the cooch that they can get from a lot of other very hot women who will be a lot less trouble. If that's what it takes, they'll go find it. You know what I mean? Like, ladies, this is the thing. You never, ever have as much power as a man. Not the same kind of power. Again, I don't mean to contradict myself, because I have said that we are very powerful in our femininity. Absolutely. But if you're going to play a man's game, you're never going to win a man's game. She's playing a man's game using womanly tools, but it's ultimately a man's game. You're going to get burned. She just got burned, by the way. She's cooked. She might come back if she had never admitted she was going to accuse this guy of rape, but nobody's going to mess with her. I mean, nobody that can help her is going to mess with her from now on, because no dude wants a rape charge. She just cooked herself. I can't believe it. I mean, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. The whole thing is so juicy. All right, let me read on from here, because this is another interesting part. And she is referring to that sleeping women to the middle and the bottom. Right? You can sleep with Harvey Weinstein, ladies, and you can get that big job and get that big payday. But the second he decides he's done with you, you're powerless, right? You might feel powerful now. You're powerless. Ask Ashley Judd about that. Remember Ashley Judd? She was the biggest star in the world for about a decade. She was huge. She got every movie. Gorgeous. Naomi Judd's daughter. Just a superstar. And overnight disappeared. Overnight. What happened? Harvey Weinstein. But we didn't know until just recently. We didn't know. He tanked her because she wouldn't sleep with him. So, ladies, yes, I love that statement. Like, men may have been the ones sleeping women to the middle and the bottom. You may go up, but what goes up comes down. And you don't have power, Miss Joy Taylor. You do not. Please do not fool yourself into thinking that you are as powerful as this man. You're just making good money. He's wealthy. Wealthy people can do pretty much anything. He can hire any lawyer. He can hire any PR team. He can hire anybody to harass you. He can hire anybody. He can ruin your reputation. And all these men you were sleeping with, they're not going to be there. This is the other thing, ladies. If you're giving it away like that, you're also giving away your protection. Those men aren't going to protect a hoe. You got one purpose. It's a transaction, fair enough. That's all that the transaction is. It doesn't include protection, right? It doesn't include the things that come along with a man being committed to a woman in a relationship. She's screwed. She's on her own now. You don't have this kind of power. Don't fool yourselves with it. You don't have this kind of power. She says the application is more general and the pattern is often the same. A talented woman dates a powerful man, and from then on, whether the relationship lasted 2 decades or 2 months, her success will be traced back to that man. As if her own hard work were less important than his cameo appearance in her life. As if she were actually the cameo in her story. I think that's astute, and I think that that is poignant. Again, I ask you, did Kamala Harris sleep her way to the top, or did she have a relationship with her boss? And are they different things? I would say that because listen, I know this from the entertainment side, right? I do this now, but I was a young actress. I did theater mainly when I was younger, and I did an internship, and I had many proposals from older men who were mostly blatant about it, right? Who were like, one man in particular was actually blatant. He didn't mince words. I was 22 at the time. He told me, do you see that building across the street? I own a studio apartment there. I will let you live in that apartment. I will lease a car for you, and I will give you a weekly allowance, and all you have to do is be available to me once or twice a week when I come by. Literally that. 20 little innocent Christian virgin me. When I tell you I did not know what to say, you know what I said? I was like, oh, okay, I'll think about it. And I made some excuse to leave. It happens. Men do this. So if I went into that situation with the intention of just getting more, and making a decision, I'm going to use sex to get the things I need and want, that is sleeping your way to the top. And that is for sure wrong. But sometimes it happens. Women go into the workplace and you meet someone and you're working with someone every day and feelings develop and you're sharing meals. Sometimes you're going out and sharing drinks. If you're in a position like in politics where you travel a lot, you're out together a lot, in hotels together a lot. Gosh, I mean, there's a billion stories of men and women falling in love at work and having an affair at work. And I think this article, although it was defending Kamala Harris, they were mad about us bringing her past up. I do think that that is a valid point. What's the difference between having a relationship, even if it's a bad idea, even if it's an ill-advised relationship? What's the difference between having a relationship with someone and sleeping your way to the top? Because all business is relationships, by the way. I might not be, I'm definitely not sleeping with any of my colleagues in the industry, but every job I have is based on relationships in the industry. Some of it's based on friendships, going and meeting those people and becoming friends with those people. And then when we have opportunities, we share them. And some of those people are wealthy people and connected people. And they help me. They offer me jobs and things, so we use relationships already it's called networking. It's called networking. And so not that romance is networking, but just to say it is a form of a relationship. So in a way, is this not another type of relationship? Like you get your jobs and promotions and things like that. A lot of us get those things from people we know, a tip or, your friend's a boss and they're hiring, or that's how we get the next job or the next opportunity. So yeah, of course, if you're in a relationship with someone and they love you and they see opportunities for you in where they're working and they know you want those, of course, yeah, those people are going to offer you those opportunities. Does that make you a hoe? I don't know. Kamala's got other things too. This is a pattern for her for sure. She there's been rumor, and they're all married men, by the way, been rumors about her with Newsom, and also with her and a couple of other politicians in the past here in California. So she may have a pattern. I don't know what she thinks about in her mind when she's going out there and doing that. But I do know what I tell y'all all the time on this show. Michelle Obama doesn't like her. There's a reason for that. Michelle Obama does not like her. I know we're supposed to think that because there's supposedly two black women, and I have thoughts about Kamala, and I know some of you have thoughts about Michelle. I don't share those, but I know there's supposedly two women, black women, and so they're supposed to have all this stuff in common, but Michelle Obama does not like Kamala, and I believe it's because that's her reputation. And Michelle Obama is an accomplished woman, obviously. Educated, and has so I'm sure she looks down on that quite a bit. I don't know. What do you think though? What do you think? Write to me. I'm thinking it's a bit unfair to classify a relation to pin a relationship and the benefits of that relationship on a woman and label her as sleeping her way to the top when she may have just been in a relationship. And there are a lot of us who have relationships at work. Some of us go on to marry those people. Some of us don't. There's a lot of affairs at work. I'm not saying they're good relationships or healthy relationships, but it is a type of relationship. And what if the woman didn't go? How many women are, whatever, you're lonely, having a sad time, going through transition in life, or you're just captured by a charming personality at work and have slowly fallen for someone at work. She's not going into that situation going, I'm going to have sex with this man, my boss, and hopefully get promoted up through the ranks. But maybe he takes advantage of her vulnerability, her position, or maybe he just genuinely likes her too. They have a relationship, and that relationship does launch her into other things. Is that bad? I have been given many opportunities through my husband. Is that me sleeping my way to the top? I've gotten opportunities through him that I never would have had on my own. Would we classify that as sleeping your way to the top? I mean, I'm kind of being funny, but not really. Like, is it? I don't know. Write to me, JLTY@protonmail.com, JLTY@protonmail.com. Talk to me about the ethics of sleeping your way to the top and what makes a woman a bad person for doing that. I obviously have my feelings about where sex belongs, period. It belongs in the marriage bed. But outside, that's not what this episode is. Outside of that discussion, what are the ethics of a woman using her sexuality to get work? Is it any worse than a man using lying or boxing somebody out at a meeting, or a man doing any number of things that men do wherever they work? Is it any different, or is it just a different kind of tool that she's using? And is it different if a woman is having a relationship with a man? And are we oftentimes unfair labeling relationships women might have at work as sleeping to the top when really it might have just been a love match? I don't know. Interesting stuff. Let me know what you think. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on everything. This podcast is free for you. But, I think an easy, fair price of admission is just to hit the subscribe button. If you are an audio listener, please leave a review. Leave some comments down there. All the algorithms love that stuff. They love comments. They love reviews. They love engagement. I'm such an old lady. Since I started letting my gray hair grow in, I have just become so cantankerous. I don't want to learn anything new. I don't want to learn anything new, and the algorithms are just getting on my last nerve. This is why I want to pay somebody to worry about that kind of stuff. So you can help me while I get my old act together by subscribing to all the things, hitting all the buttons, and sharing everything. Go sign up for my Substack. If you would like to support me, support my voice, the best thing you could do and the easiest thing you can do is to just subscribe to my Substack and choose a monthly subscription for a low fee, and you'll get access to comments and other content that's behind the paywall. But you may not even want to read it. You may just there are a lot of people who do this as well. You may just want to be supporting me. You don't want to give me a huge gift, but $5 a month is something that you do to say, I like that you're out there. That's good too. All right. Well, we are just days away from the world changing yet again, and I'm excited. I hope you're excited. We'll definitely be talking about whatever goes down. Listen, before I say goodbye to you, I want to tell you this. I want y'all to be praying out there. Weird stuff is going on. It's only going to get weirder. And I think a lot of people are going to be looking for some answers. A lot of what we thought was real, I think that's going to shift. And a lot of people are going to be looking for answers. And those of us who know the one true God, know the story of creation, and know the reality that we actually live in, will have the answers. So be praying. Be praying for the people who didn't necessarily be sure about what's happening. I mean, I don't know what's about to happen, but all of you have written to me and hit me up on social media, and you've all said the same thing I've been saying, which is things feel different. Something feels different. So I want you to be praying, but I want you to pray for the inauguration. I definitely think that there are some plans in the works for some terror attacks in DC and definitely around the country. ISIS is here. They've made it across the border and they're here. I believe that these drones we're seeing are some kind of detecting craft, looking for materials. That's what I believe, but I don't know. You let me know. JLTY at protonmail.com. Hit the subscribe button. Sign up for my Substack. Give me lots of money. And I will look forward to hearing from you on this particular issue. I don't know if I worked it out. I don't know if I worked it out in my mind. Something to chew on. Just like this whole show. All right. Well, I'll catch you guys later. Until next time, don't forget, every once in a while, just stop and listen to yourself.
I pray the Lord, my soul to take, that we won't lose faith and we won't lose faith. All we got is us, no one can take that away. So don't lose faith, it's gonna be okay. I pray the Lord, my soul to take, that we won't lose faith and we won't lose faith. All we got is us, no one can take that away.